keeping with the trusty adage, starve a cold, disgust a fever.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Excuse me, Niles, but I've got news for you. Copernicus called, and you are not the center of the universe.
So yesterday, while Cameron was on Latino Slant, he got a phone call from Sparrow, and it's a doozy about Kennedy at Lucasfilm, and it's going to be discussed later in this video. So hold on, all right? So let's talk about this. Kathleen Kennedy speaks out, Lucasfilm plans. Her interview actually didn't help her at all. Basically, the reporter, Mike Fleming, called out Matt Bellany, which is, you know, if you poke the bull, you're going to get the horns. And Bellany came back, and I read what he said in my live stream yesterday. It was fantastic. So this is from The Guardian. Guardian's a very liberal newspaper in Britain, and they basically took her apart, okay? They basically took her apart. So The Guardian... this is a headline. Stacey Ballard sent it on to Cameron, and it is basically a trash fest of Kennedy. And this is where it's going to start. Okay. People in Hollywood, for some reason, like The Guardian. They read it. To me, it's just trash, but whatever. They call it Cosmic Jackson Pollock. Kennedy's Star Wars return has been marked by chaos by a reporter named Ben Child. If the reports are true and Kathleen Kennedy is to step down at Lucasfilm, it is possible to look back on her near 13-year reign over the Star Wars movies and wonder how one person managed to oversee such an entire industry of sci-fi fantasy dreams to craze, doomed announcements that always seemed to fall apart as quickly as they were constructed. Like any of the Death Star plans that have permeated these films, Kennedy's apparently well-constructed visions for future episodes always seemed to be blown to smithereens, just as they were about to take over the Hollywood nebula. From Josh Trank's mysteriously vanished Boba Fett film, when that story comes out, and it will, that'll be interesting, to Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron crash landing before takeoff, her time at the helm of Lucasfilm will be marked by vast, ambitious projects that promise to be fully operational, only for the scrappy reality of budget concerns and creative differences to transform them into little more than unfinished floating chunks of cinematic debris drifting aimlessly through the void. God, that's a beautiful line. It is fair to say that while her predecessor, George Lucas, procrastinated, toiled, and employed as much energy as a protocol droid attempting to jog through quicksand, this is fuck you, by the way, child, on that one. Kennedy, in terms of bringing new Star Wars films to the multiplexes after the mixed reception to his midichlorian-infested blue screen-heavy prequel trilogy, moved like a hyperspace-jumping Millennium Falcon. Initially, at least, no sooner had the ink dried on Disney's galactically ambitious purchase of Lucasfilm at $4.5 billion in 2012, then Kennedy was off hunting down J.J. Abrams to oversee The Force Awakens. What a stupid fucking idea. And it goes after, basically, the sequel trilogy, the story does. Grand kinetic, beautifully shot, the memory of the splendid scene in which, whatever. But now zombie Palpatine. But now we know the whole thing ended up with space zombie Palpatine coming back from the dead with his armada of planet-killing Star Destroyers, hooded Sith acolytes, and what can only be described as an infinite supply of evil red mood lighting. Evil red mood lighting. Wow. It's also a nagging sense that the creative team spent most of their time mugging up cool cosmic designs rather than worrying about unimportant stuff such as character and story arc, thematic consistency, and any semblance of a long-term plan. Okay. And the Guardian article just goes on to talk about basically what the technical issues, the lack of storytelling, the lack of coherence with the out-of-sync directors, and the lack of character arc. And it's not even touching the surface about how bad the trilogy, the sequel trilogy is. Then it goes after the way it talks about Rogue One and how, quote unquote, Tony Gilroy had to come in and save it. Right. I did it bring up Solo? It doesn't even bring up Solo. Now let's talk about this. Tuesday night or Wednesday night, when Kennedy's interview dropped, I went and sought out Frank Marshall on Instagram and posted this. If you're married and your spouse is having issues, you do not let them go make fools of themselves. Now, this was his response. My response was, this was my first reply, and it's really funny that I think Frank, sadly for Frank, is as delusional as she is, because he came back, laughing about it, when my husband would be furious with me. You made an ass of yourself. What'd you do that for? So I don't understand what he's doing here. Standing by your woman doesn't mean you let her ruin herself. And it's, from what we've heard going on, it is going to get worse. All right? We have The Guardian smearing her. We have Matt Bellany basically calling her out for being delusional, and the reporter she talked to as being a sycophant ass kisser. But let's talk more.
Dad, when are you going to stop blighting the environment with this atrocity? My God, can't you see that it wants to die? Let it go.
That one just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
I immediately regret this decision.
So then, while Cameron was on Latino Slant with Paulie, Sparrow called, and he took the call and had to leave the live stream for a few. Basically, everybody at Lucasfilm, from what they said, called the interview unhinged interview with Deadline, and it's accelerated movement from Disney and Lucasfilm to get her the hell out of there. So basically, Iger and Favreau are getting ready to push her out as soon as possible. Favreau views Kennedy's idiotic interview as a blessing, and he's just letting it happen, the trade wars, which is Mike Fleming attacking Matt Bellany and basically indirectly attacking THR and the sister ship, Variety, okay, which never goes well. The recent complaint by Blake Lively to Deadline about THR being sexist fell because then Deadline decided, let's dig, and they dug, and they embarrassed her further. Okay, so finally Sparrow, they are hearing that legal memos have been sent from Iger's office, says to Lucasfilm attorneys. They cannot confirm what is in those communiques, but the rumor is that Iger wants to settle with Gina and Karen soon. And that Kennedy's ridiculously stupid behavior has accelerated it. In fact, the morning after the news about Kennedy was dropped, Gina dropped this GIF on X, and it meaning settling with Gina to bring her back. John wants her back. The character is extremely popular, and it would be a gesture of goodwill for the fans. Okay. Her demise at Lucasfilm was engineered and staged by Kennedy. All right. And there has to be some payback. There has to be some justice. And the justice is coming in embarrassing stories coming out about the chaos going on at Lucasfilm. And trust me, there are probably people talking to all kinds of reporters right now about what's going on at Lucasfilm. Okay? Gina didn't deserve this. And then, of course, we got the Karen McCarthy thing, which, I mean, Leslie Headland is involved with both, I think. But Headland was deposed, and the McCarthy thing, that the trial is supposed to start at the end of this month. And Ms. McCarthy deserves some justice. She deserves, A, the money she was owed by Lucasfilm, and B, the money she lost when she didn't take the Apple TV series position for Sugar, which has been received pretty well. That show's been received pretty well. As many, I think, intellectually thoughtful shows by Apple has been. Okay. If they settle soon, we are going to see more stuff come out about Kennedy in the press. The press doesn't, look, he who holds the pen is in charge in this instance. The person who's the subject of the story is not. And he who holds the pen, as we know from politics, is basically the one that creates the narrative. And now the narrative looks like it's shifting to Kennedy made beautiful, incoherent messes for films. And we're going to find out how she meddled in Boba Fett. I wouldn't doubt that Robert Rodriguez gets a phone call from somebody. We're going to find out how she tried to meddle with Ahsoka, with Kenobi. And, you know, she stuck her nose up at animation, so the animation was decent. But because she imagines that adults don't watch it. Well, yeah, we do, but, you know. So this is now not only a trade war between Deadline and everybody, it is a let's unmask who she really is exercise. Now, I think Bellany is probably done talking about her for a while. I don't think THR, Variety, The Guardian, maybe Forbes are done at all with her. All right. And this is, again, a woman who thinks she's far more valuable to the planet than she really is, who thinks she has actually done more in her career than she really did, who has stood on the shoulders of actual filmmakers. Do I have to tell you guys who they were? Who they are? No, I don't. Go look at her resume and look at the successes that she's had and look at the names far above hers. Those are the guys that made the movies. Those are the guys that starred in the movies, all right? What she did in her career at Lucasfilm belittled what she inherited. The Force is female is bullshit, okay? That's actually, it's something I don't want to personally be involved in. I don't think anybody who wants their soul right wants to be involved with what that Force is female could be about. It is a bit scary for me. That stuff caused a serious amount of harm to the franchise. All right? The franchise is a boys' franchise, and weird, geeky girls like me loved it. Okay? All right, that's, and wanted to be, you know, in the movies, work in the industry, because the movies, the stories, Indiana Jones, etc., were inspiring to us. But what Kennedy made was a beautiful pigsty. Okay? I mean, even to the point where The Guardian wanted to say how beautiful the choreography was the Rey Kyle Ron saber fight in The Last Jedi, where they're chasing off the Praetorians that protected Snoke. That was a terribly choreographed scene. Did you ever watch Star Wars? I mean, the idea that somebody would think that was great is moronic. Okay? That's the problem. The people who love Star Wars, who know it, saw this for what it was. And as my friend Mazarus loves to call it, the cash grab trilogy, that's on Disney. They didn't take their time. They could have easily made the last Indiana Jones movie, then done George's script treatments, okay, and that probably would have been satisfactory. Then brought in streaming shows, okay, but instead they jumped right in, hired the discount director, J.J. Abrams, and the Larry Kasdan has-been, who hates Han Solo, to write The Farce Awakens, and now we have this. Okay, this is Kennedy's legacy. And when The Guardian points out all the issues, we haven't even gotten to the point where they're talking about the money she lost. And where exactly did the money come from for Hedlund to film her sizzle reel? Because Disney did not give her any green light until later, okay? Long after they ran off McCarthy, who thought the Acolyte was real, okay? We called out fraud, it's fraud, okay? So get ready for more smears, because I think they're coming. You're going to see a he said, she said thing. And my hopes is Johnny Favs stays under the radar, as well as Filoni. Disney can take the punches, and Iger will be unmerciful in this. And we shall see what happens. But I wanted to kind of do an update. This is long, and happy week. I will see you guys later today This is Monday, March 3rd.